All you need for this one are the 3 sheets of origami paper that were in your packet. So it might be different colors than the ones I've got. We had a whole variety pack and tried to do some different ones. And we're doing 3 different designs today. We're doing just a basic, open it, corner bookmark. That's going to be our first one. So if you have one of your sheets or patterns or colors that you want to do for this design, you can probably work with that one first. We're going to do a little samurai helmet. So if there's one you want to do with that, that's another pattern. And then for our last one, because it's most complicated, we're going to do this heart bookmark. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've chosen this pattern, at least for me, just because it's the one I like for it, for the basic corner bookmark. So if everyone's got their paper ready. For this one, we're kind of going from easiest to hardest. So this will be a very quick one. You're going to start out with the pattern side down, or at least that is my recommendation. If you start it with the pattern side down, you're going to have something that looks like this, where the white portion is pretty much just on the inside of the bookmark and the color is everywhere else. If you prefer it flipped for some reason, if you kind of want just the white showing and then a little touch of color, you can do it starting with the printed side up. But what I prefer is sort of this way. So I'm starting with the printed side down, white side face up. And the very first thing we're going to do is just fold diagonally. So from one point to the other point. It doesn't really matter if you're doing it top to bottom or bottom to top, as long as you're making this diagonal fold and crease. I'm doing a lot of creasing today. It's sort of my whole thing for this Wednesday. So you should now have just a basic triangle. And the next thing we're going to do is take one of the little corners over here and then fold it up so that point meets the point at the top of your triangle. So we're kind of making a diamond now. I'm going to crease that edge as well. So making sure everyone can see what I just did. And then we're going to repeat that on the other side. So same thing, we're taking this little corner and we are folding it up to the point at the top. Creasing down, making sure we've got a pretty nice straight, not overlapping line down the middle. So you should, when you've done that, have this sort of little diamond. I guess it's kind of like a smaller square that's got these little flaps up here. And once you've got that, and also, as always, feel free to let me know if I need to slow down, you're actually going to open those back up. So now you're back to that big triangle, but you've got a crease or a fold going in these 2 directions, kind of making a little square that's right in here. What we're going to do now is we're going to peel back just the top layer from this top point. So instead of taking the whole thing, I'm just taking this bit right here. And we're going to fold it down so that the point meets pretty much the center of the bottom of the line that's closest to you. I'm going to flip that around so you can see it right side up. We're going to crease that. So now I've got kind of almost a Triforce looking thing if you play any Legend of Zelda. So you got the triangle and then it kind of makes this, this square, this cube right in the middle. And then we're actually almost done with this first corner bookmark, because all we're going to do now is basically fold these in over that white cube and tuck them in behind it. So kind of into the bookmark itself. So that's what that looks like on one side. You can see it's kind of making a little pocket. I'm going to repeat. The other side. And that is actually your corner bookmark. So you should have basically a square. And then on the flip side, you've got those two wings that have folded over into the pocket. And how this works as an actual bookmark rotate it around, is you just slip it onto the corner of whatever page you're reading. Make this visible. There we go. And so that way it's kind of a low profile thing. When you close it, it's not going to stick out a whole lot, but still very visible. It hangs on a lot more than a sort of typical just slip it between the pages bookmark. So I can kind of turn this upside down. My page is still marked. I do like these because they don't, I found with the magnetic clip bookmarks, they kind of make that dent in the page. And these are much easier to move, even if you have very thin pages. So that is our first corner bookmark. Everybody got a corner bookmark successfully? Don't need to go back, go over any of those steps. Everybody have the corner bookmark? Awesome. Seeing a thumbs up. Suzanne, I think you're good over there. Okay, so that is our first design. Like I said, we are moving a little bit up in difficulty each time, but this one is still pretty easy. So this is going to be that samurai helmet. So I've chosen this kind of fun, like fish scale wave pattern. So I think that'll look pretty neat with it. Just like with the corner bookmark, the initial corner bookmark, I recommend starting with the printed side face down. That's going to give you this sort of look where you have mostly pattern here and then the accents are in white. But it can also look cool to have this in white and the accents be in color. Entirely depends on your preference. But for this, if you want just the accents in white, you're going to want to start white side up, printed side down. It's going to start pretty much the same way. So we're going to fold on that diagonal again. Just making sure to line that top point up as close as you can. So you've got this nice triangle again. And we're actually going to continue thus far on pretty much the same path we did for that corner bookmark. So again, I'm going from this big triangle. I'm going to lift each of these corners up to meet at the top point. Sort of the more you you reinforce those creases, just like we did with the bookmaking actually, the tighter the whole shape will hold. So we're going to repeat that with the other side, bringing that side corner up to meet the point at the very top. So we should hopefully be back at that place where we've got this little square. It's got the kind of wing things on top that are each made of a triangle. And this is where it starts to differentiate, because now what we're going to do, instead of opening it back up like we did for the corner bookmark, is, oh, I just realized it's got like a secret fish. That's fun. Is we are going to take these top corners of these wings and we are going to fold them down basically in half. So the top corner of the wing that we had is basically going to come all the way down to the bottom. And then we're going to crease that. And then we're going to repeat that on the other side. So again, we're going to take this top corner and fold it all the way down to the bottom to rearrange that so you can see it the same way I'm looking at it. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. It's another little square. This time it's kind of got like these folded wings up on top that are making these two triangles facing the top of your shape. This is going to be the top of the hat. So what we're going to do now is take each of these top points that are meeting at that top of the hat and fold them at sort of a slim angle. What I'm going for is I'm trying to make this line be pretty much flat, horizontal, ideally parallel with this bottom line of sort of like where the base of the helmet would be, because these are sort of those decorative elements that you see coming up. So see, I've made that little part sticking up right there. And you can do the same thing on the other side. So just kind of this fraction of an angle. Try to match it up also with your line right here. Of course, they might not be perfectly matched, and that's definitely fine. But you can see this design starting to come together. So now hopefully you've got kind of basics of this hat shape, still kind of this little window, and these two sort of winged elements sticking up. Now what you're going to do is kind of like when we did that first bookmark, just taking the top layer, and you're folding it about halfway up, keeping the point of it along the center seam. I usually kind of aim to have this point like half an inch or finger's width under the tops of those wings. So you're going to make that crease. So now you've got same underlying structure. You've got this little decorative triangle forming. And now all we're going to do is fold up this bottom line just right on top of the base. So to repeat that, just kind of taking this, basically as far as it will comfortably go over that middle seam, because that's going to hold your decorative elements in place. So you should basically have samurai helmet now with this little backing. There's two directions you could go from here. If you want, you could keep it like this and just have this sort of resting and supporting it on the back of the page. They'll probably give it more security. If you want the whole thing to look a little bit neater and more finished as a hat or a helmet, what I do is basically just take this and tuck it into the interior of the helmet. Then, as ever, give that a nice sharp crease. And there you go. You should have a complete little helmet. If you followed that last step, then it's also kind of triangle from the back. And just as with the corner bookmark, you can stick that on there. It fits really nice and neatly, which is very satisfying to me. This one, of course, is going to stick out a little bit more from the edges, but that's kind of good if you want to be able to just spot it quickly. All right. Everybody good? Got your little samurai helmet done? Ready for the next one? Okay, awesome. So, like I said, this next one is going to be the most complicated of the 3 patterns that we're doing today. This is that heart design, but I think it is still entirely within everybody's ability here, especially if you've been keeping up so far with the corner bookmark and the samurai bookmark. As with the others, as before, you are going to want to start with your paper face down, printed side face down, white side facing up. That is if you would like it to have this final appearance. If you prefer, you can flip it around and then you'd have color here and white here. But I like it this way because then you get the pop of color on top of the page. So we've got our paper. This one starts differently. For once, we're not doing a diagonal fold. Instead, we are going to be doing two just sort of, I guess, straight square folds. The whole thing is a square, so I guess the whole thing is either a hamburger or a hot dog per our earlier discussions. We're going to do fold in one direction. Doesn't matter too much which one, as long as you're doing it not at a diagonal, just straight across. And then we're actually going to open it back up so we can do that in the other direction. So you're just kind of splitting that line, splitting that square. Okay, and then you're actually gonna unfold it again. So now basically you have a piece of paper you started with, but it's got a seam in the middle in each direction, bisecting it into 4 squares. I guess that's quadrisecting it, whatever. It's 4 squares now. And so what you're gonna do at this point is you're going to take, I guess I can do it from this angle, the bottom of your paper, and you're going to bring it up just to that middle line. So you're sort of got 2/3 width now. Bring it up to that middle line. You're gonna make a crease. So you should have something that looks more or less like this. And then you're going to flip it over. So now you're looking just at the printed side, or if you did this the other way around, just at the white side. Again, 2/3 sort of the normal height. And what we're going to do now is take these bottom edges and just bring that whole side up to the middle crease, that vertical middle crease. So it's almost kind of paper airplane looking. I don't actually remember how to make a paper airplane, so I don't know how accurate that is, but that's the impression that it gives me. So you can see we've got that one side done, and we're going to repeat that on the other side. And bringing this corner up and aligning the whole thing with that center seam. So we're kind of getting this vaguely plane-like shape. So you should have something that looks like this now. You've got sort of this center bar of color and these 2 little triangles of white. And what we're actually going to do now is turn the whole thing over again. This design involves a whole lot of rotation and flipping the paper up and down. And what we're going to do now is, rather than working from the sides, we are going to take this bottom point right here and bring it all the way up to the top. So again, keeping it along that center seam. This one could be a little bit trickier to crease down because it's a bit thicker. Just be careful with it as you're working. You may need to refresh some of your other seams as you do this. So hopefully what you have now, you've just kind of smashed your paper airplane in half. So you've got this chevron, I don't know what shape to call this, pointing up, and this mostly flat rectangle here. You're actually going to flip it over again. So we are working on the back side now. And we're going to start to do one fold a little different from anything else that we've done thus far today. Because instead of just straight up folding something, you're going to sort of stick your finger into this space right here, this little short flap that's the rectangle, so that you can bring it out and press it down. So this is, we're starting to make the kind of 2 top bumps of the heart is what we're doing. So you kind of want the center seam of this little top piece to line up with this bottom line here. So I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Again, kind of stick your finger in, rotate it around. And then once you've got the seams lined up, you can press down. Make those creases again. I'm going to redo this right one because doing it upside down is hard. But that is on me. Okay. So you should have these two little kind of triangles pointing at each other. Then you're going to take the corner right here and fold it in. Like I said, we're kind of making these peak shapes of the heart now. Don't worry if it's not a sharp point. We don't need it to be. We're just trying to bring this edge here flat with the edge right here. So you can see the general shape that's making. We're going to repeat that on the other side. You may, like I do on this one, have slightly different shapes on these two. Doesn't matter too much because we're just about to actually fold the tops down to kind of soften the shape of this heart. So this one is sort of your own personal journey situation as far as how pointy or how flat you want your heart to be. Which sounds distressingly medical. Basically, you're just going to take the point, and then I kind of fold it down about halfway. So you can see there. I'm just going to repeat it on the other side. This one probably a little less, so it's even with the other. So you now have these sort of blockier, rounder shapes at the very top. And we are actually almost done with this one. We have made the heart shape itself. All we have to do now is fold these wings back behind it to make it into that bookmark shape. So I'm going to take this, lining it up more or less against that center seam. Crease this one nice and good. So you want it to hold up and you're using it as a bookmark. So you can see how that's folded back. Flip it around for you. And you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So this is the back. Hopefully everyone's more or less here. As always, stop me if not. And then you have the fun reveal of the finished heart bookmark, which I always like how it looks. It's always a little bit of a surprise. This one is not a corner bookmark. So let me get my demonstration tome. This one essentially just sort of clips onto the top of the page. So it's more like those little magnetic clip bookmarks. I do like the corner bookmarks slightly better because they're a bit more secure, but this one is also cute and fun. It sticks out nicely at the top of the book. And though it's not necessarily super secure this way, you can move it around to the side. So if there's something that you kind of want to highlight, a certain line that you want to keep your eye on, you can have it pointing at that and just there for you when you want to go back. So if you are like me and have now made like 27 heart bookmarks, you could really annotate whatever you're working with. All right. And that is all of our bookmarks today. Did everybody get all 3 of those made? Yep. Awesome. I'm seeing thumbs up. I guess I can bring my face back into this. Yeah. Anybody have any questions about those? I'd say any questions about origami in general, but honestly, I am not enough of an expert to answer those. Looks like no.
Yes, actually, will they be the same bookmarks that you're going to be doing at the 3:30 to 4?
Yeah. So we both the hand stitch notebook and the bookmark sessions are repeats in case there are people who wanted to make one of them and their schedules wouldn't allow them to make the other. So yeah, it'd be the same content in both of those. Good question.
You're great. Very cute.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's fun for everyone. And you too can have a bajillion like origami bookmarks to just give people
Right?
at random, whether or not they want them.
Very smoothly. That was great. You look like a pro.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, well then I think that's it. Yeah, like I said, you can always, this recording will also be up, not immediately, give us a couple days to clean it all up, but it'll be up on the main page where we've got all the Zoom links. So if you ever forget how to do this and you want a refresher or another like sort of live walkthrough, then that will be up for you to review. But otherwise, thank you for coming again. I hope you had a good time, and we possibly will see you at some of the later sessions today. If not, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.